To answer the question whose responsibility it is to make disciples, whether it's an individual Christian or the church organization that they belong to, it will be safer for us to look into the scriptures. In 2 Corinthians chapter 5, from verse 17 to 20, we see Paul giving us directives by the help of the Holy Spirit as to what it means to be a child of God. He says something about being new creatures, all things being passed away, and all things becoming new. And then he now went ahead to say, I think it's in verse 20 or 21, that we are actually being called as ambassadors of Christ. We've been given a ministry of reconciliation so that people can get to know God or get back into a relationship with God as we get involved in this ministry. This simply shows us, that it is our responsibilities as individual believers to go out and share the gospel with people, whether it's on digital platforms or physical platforms, especially on digital platforms, because we now have access to very many people. We have interactions with people on a daily basis on these platforms. When you go again to Matthew chapter 28, verses 19 to 20, where Jesus was giving a commission to all believers to go into the world and make disciples of all nations. We see that this wasn't just something given to a group or an organization alone. This was something that was given to individuals. This was Jesus speaking to individuals. And Jesus has also modeled the same thing to us. He came to the earth, sent by God to the earth to minister to us, but then he picked 12 people, invested in them over a 3.5 year period, and then we are the effects of that investment of Jesus over time. So it's important for us to understand that even though the church organization is involved in making disciples, it's actually more of the responsibility of the individuals to do it, because Jesus gave that instruction to his body, and his body is made up of individuals, organic people, that are connected. And of course, yes, the organization has a responsibility in terms of maybe galvanizing us together, equipping the saints to be able to do the work, but the real work actually belongs to the saints. So every individual should be involved in making disciples, especially in this digital age where you have access, to digital tools and digital platforms and digital spaces. We should begin to think of platforms as places where we can take the gospel into. So if you're in digital communities everywhere, then people there should be able to have access to the gospel. You shouldn't wait for your organization to be the one to launch the effort. You as an individual should begin to get involved. And of course, if you do not know exactly how, that's why the church digital exists, to be able to equip people to be missionaries everywhere they go. One thing we must establish is that we are all missionaries. Jesus has given us that work to be able to make disciples, to be able to reconcile people to him, and we should actively get involved. We don't need to wait for organizations to be the one to support the work. It is a responsibility that believers should be able to take, or it's a responsibility that believers actually have been given by Jesus. It's a command for us to make disciples, and so we should get involved, whether the organizations are doing it or not.